You goddamn little. Ow! Fuck me in both ass.
What's up, Texicans? This is the Tin Man with the Resistance. If you're watching this, you are the Resistance. We do not forget. We do not forget. Expect us. Well, that used to be the saying of Anonymous. Still is to some extent, but you don't hear much from Anonymous anymore these days. Back in the day, they really burst onto the scene in a huge way, going after the Church of Scientology, and then, the attack on PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, and even PlayStation of all things. Like, didn't they take down the PlayStation network for a moment there?
Yeah.
But after that, after Sabu narked everybody out, they just kind of disappeared off the map a little bit. At least to a large extent. There are some Anons out there who are still operating strong, but you don't really hear about the Million Mask March anymore. I don't even know if that still happens every year. That used to be a yearly event on November the 5th. But you're just not hearing too much from Anonymous anymore outside of, the occasional hunting down scammers or pedophiles. So we're going to do a little bit of a dive today, explore what has become of Anonymous and those behind the white mask.
All right. Well, you want to go first, Revan? I always take the stage way crazy.
The one that I've been in contact with is AV Unit. AV Unit, and he's the most wanted hacker right now. Been for years.
No.
They've got most of them, and a former FBI guy said the one I've been really wanting to get evaded me for years. The one I couldn't catch. You mentioned AV Unit.
Oh, really?
And AV Unit's on TikTok.
Everybody's on TikTok.
Yeah.
Well,
that's probably why they want to shut down TikTok.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of anons on TikTok, and just like here on YouTube. I mean, they're branching out. But the one thing that does bother me, and I know it does to you guys too, is that you got these wannabes using the moniker name for financial gain.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens. That was the first thing. Sorry, I forgot my coffee. This whole time I was doing a setup and a preparation, and I'm like, hey, where's my coffee? That was a big thing that they were worried about.
Yeah, because they didn't want it to be a profitable organization. They didn't want people making money off of what they were trying to make as a legitimate movement. They wanted to have a positive impact on the world, not be a money-making scam.
Oh yeah. There have been a lot of warnings for the scammers that try to use for financial gain. Like, hey, look, we're watching you guys, and you guys can't be doing this because that's not what we're about.
Yeah. There are some Anons that are using are generating some revenue. Some of them are legit. Like Conspiracy Anon, he was doing some things with us for a while, and Anonymous jumped our shit for a little bit, because we had the online store and whatnot. Because we were trying to fund, the Sanctuary Recovery Program and do other things. And, a lot of Anons jumped our shit for that. And Conspiracy Anon, after I wound up tracking him down, showing up at his house, scaring the living shit out of him. I don't think he really thought that I had the ability to actually just pop up and go, hi, how you doing? Let's shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I scared the shit out of him. And, after that, just he kind of did his own thing. And, he's back on the scene a little bit and doing some things. And, he butts heads with a lot of anons and so-called anons on this issue of whether or not you can use the anon name to generate revenue, especially if it's for quote unquote a worthy cause.
I'll chime in on this one. I can summarize and theorize, and we might be very close to the truth if I'm right. A couple of things. When we're talking about hackers as a whole, these motherfuckers can multitask faster than most of us can think. So when they say like we are legion and we are many, behind the computer screen, like you have one person, male or female, and they could be doing the work of like 15 solid low-level hackers at the same time that they are doing their 5 or 6 high-level hacks, all at the hands of one individual. So like 20 of those people could feel like 2,000, for lack of a better explanation. So the smoke screen of how large and in scope that it was, that could have been a huge thing. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I was on the inside behind the curtains, tra-la-la. What I do know is that the amount of people that went to jail for this was quite small, and they still managed to garner an extremely large support base, similar to what the Occupy movement had done as well. Everybody's like, oh, Anonymous did this, but they were both independent of each other, requiring each other for power. Lack of an explanation here is Anonymous was really trying to get the word out as to what they were doing. And so in order to do that, it was best to get a bunch of human beings in the same place and just fucking tell them. And then once they knew, then they just started sharing it. And that was way before the phones were what they are today.
Yeah.
So that's one side of it. A small grouping of people appearing to be large with a skill set that can dox you like that. So now they know where you live. That's an intimidating aspect. People say, yeah, but just knowing where you live isn't enough. Dude, like people like Donald Trump have gone into like terrorist caves and won like negotiations. And I don't really call it a negotiation at that point, by merely giving them a picture of their home. Indicating like, well, why are you showing me my house? Be like, no, you're asking yourself the wrong question. The question is, how do I have a picture of your house? That's the right question, right? The wrong question is, why are you showing me a picture of my house? Because you haven't caught on to the play. The play is how the fuck did I get my hands on a picture of your house? And then if you're really good at it and you got an aerial drone and it really gives you an aerial view, well, that's intimidating because maybe next time it's not a picture we're going to take. So just being able to pinpoint people through one skill. And even in the military, you got a guy that shoots a gun. You got a guy that patches the wounds. You got a guy that works the communications. You got a guy that makes sure that the signal doesn't fail so that the communications guy can do his job. Compartmentalized, for lack of a better word. Anonymous, what they needed was to shake hands with like one of the world's largest biker gangs, the Hells Angels, because then the intellectual aspect, the CIA would have had a foot soldier army, for lack of a better word. Those who are technologically inclined, they did not have the triggermen to give lists to. That was the biggest drawback. And then for them to just leak something online, there's this thing that a hacker knows that most citizens don't fully understand. It's physically impossible to actually remove your digital imprint.
Yeah.
So no matter how good they are, if they leak a hit list, it's coming back to them. And they're the ones that are going to do the time. Unless we change the status quo of the social situation. And everybody's probably trying to figure out, well, what's Anonymous waiting for? Why are they laying low? Why is that? If I'm Anonymous, if I'm them, and I have these skills, and I'm prepared to act, I'm waiting for a state of war. I'm actually going to sit back, let it all fall apart, and I'll be numbered amongst the first people to go and pick up the pieces. Very much like how The Simpsons, I believe it was The Simpsons that is predicting along the lines of if something happens to Donald Trump, it'll be Elon Musk that replaces him. Yeah. And then the American government as a whole would run as technology centered, just like that movie, that show Thrive that we watched back in the day. So taking the politicians out of politics and putting the brains in those seats. So we'll put some scientists there, some doctors there, some engineers in there, and get the individuals that know how to solve the problem in the seats of power. Well, if that happens, if Elon Musk takes over the American government in one way, shape, or form that is greater than this Doge thing, it's easy and simple to believe that Anonymous did work and did a lot of it from behind the scenes if they get somebody like Elon Musk and Donald Trump sitting in the White House. Because that's the thing about Anonymous. It was a very Republican thing. It was less Democrat, more Republican. It was for everyone, but that's what a Republican is. It's for everybody. The Republican says, I don't care if 99% of them hate you. I'm not going to let them kill you over it. You have the right to live, right? So that's what a Republican is. A Democrat says, bro, if 51% of these dudes say you're dead, like, we're going to start building the gas chambers tomorrow. Like that's a democracy where 51% gets to be a tyrannical government over 49%. That's the difference between a democracy and a republic. The United States is a democratic republic, which means you guys vote your leader in, and there's two guys, they have separate, or two people, I should say, they have separate viewpoints, but both people have agreed that they will not ostracize and debilitate the other side. So the aspect of being a Republican or the republic in the United States, the protecting of the weak, it's still held quite dearly and quite in focus, even when there's a Democratic president, opposed to a Republican president. So that's cool. So if they could do all of that and then use someone like Elon Musk and get all the technology and the that's kind of what Anonymous was talking about back in the day. To go away from the old ways and move forward into the new ways. So the other thing is these guys are smart. So the other side of this huge fucking thing is that nothing about what Anonymous was preaching and what they were saying that we should do, there was nothing about it that could be started today, enacted tomorrow, and see change the following day. It's generational. We have to realize what's going on, where it's going wrong. We then have to raise our children adequately and accordingly so that they can grow up and be good citizens and so that they can move forward and raise their children, and then to grow and foster this, hey, the planet kind of matters. And we understand that as we're moving forward, we're actually going to hurt the planet more than we can help it. But why do we believe that we can help the planet? Like the planet itself is doing just fine. We're the ones that are fucked. We're the ones that don't understand it.
Yeah, the planet will always be here. We might not be, but the planet would be just fine.
That's right. So this would be huge. Like Anonymous would be like 25-year plans, like 25-year projects. But okay, well, let's see if we could just get them off the banking system. Let's see if we can just that alone. Like, can we even show them that their money is weak and it's not working very well? And then boom, the cryptocurrency came around.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
well, I mean, crypto was around in, I think, 2008 when they first launched Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, that came about, and it was like, I think $500 a share, $500 per Bitcoin back in 2009, if I believe, if my information is correct.
Yep.
It's been a while since I looked it up, but I believe that was when it hit the table. It didn't really pick up steam until like 2017, 2018. But that was also around the time I noticed that it started coming out about your social security number and everything being used to have separate accounts in your name that you're not even aware of. Like the government has multiple accounts in your name that have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in it. And
Yeah,
that
because
you can actually gain access to these accounts. And then that was really the last time Anonymous was really like prevalent on the stage. Like they broke this, and then all of a sudden, crickets, it seems. Like they broke this news, and then everybody kind of just went quiet. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, wow, did they like cross a line that even the elite said no, and they just got spanked out of existence? What the hell? What the hell happened?
There's a chance that it was a psyop. There's a very small chance that there was a psyop, but you got to get all those people in those places. But I guess that would be the definition of it, wouldn't it be? Like, wouldn't the definition of a successful psyop be legitimately like getting everybody on the streets, like, and getting them active and involved, and like what would be able to do it, and how far would you have to push the signal, and who would you have to tell, and tra-la-la, like
essentially what George Soros does.
Yeah, straight out, like, yeah.
That guy is banned from 12 countries right now.
Yeah, too bad he's not banned in ours. Trump.
And there is this other thing too, right? Like, I'm a prick. Like, I am not a pleasant individual. Okay, so when I started digging, I didn't stop at the banking system. I didn't stop at corrupt government, because I was just old enough to realize that, like, guys, this whole planet damn near blew itself up twice now. Has anybody thought to ask why? And then I started digging. And it's like I always come back on this fucking dead beaten horse, but it unfortunately boils down to that nonsensical religious side with the money side and the politics all trying to shake hands. If the Anonymous Collective hit the same wall we hit, which was the Zionist wall, yeah. Every time someone goes against the Zionists,
well, you're also forgetting about that Sabu. He's the one that really ended up
that narked out everybody with the Visa and MasterCard thing. But even after that, there were still plenty of Anons out there making a lot of noise, even to the point that YRV tried to jump on the bandwagon, and then he got butthurt because they didn't like his idea. And then he decided to try to target me, and I bent him over my knee and spanked him. And that's why Anonymous respects me.
His ideas was too radical and dangerous.
hey, there's Charles Manson all over again kind of thing.
Ever since I've seen the first video back in 2008.
Yep. I remember I did a whole documentary on this shit. That's why I say I bent him over my knee and spanked him. Yeah. Because I exposed him from beginning to end. His plan, his actions, everything he said, the counteraction to everything he's ever said. I presented it all. It was a 3-hour documentary. I did in just a matter of a month.
This guy.
What many Anons were praying for, which was to see this guy completely fucking bitch slapped. And that's why so many Anons know and respect me, because I fucking bitch slapped their biggest detractor. I bent him over my knee and spanked him like a little fucking bitch.
Here's a guy who created 20 accounts thinking going after female Anon, man. Trolling. And he's sitting there like, if you want to join the new Anonymous, I was like, oh, fuck that shit. That's what I went after him. Like, dude, there is no new Anonymous. There's no old Anonymous. It's just Anonymous, man.
It's just people.
Like, there's Anonymous, and then there's posers like you.
So something I did. This is kind of a small jab at the Anon population, and it's never intentional, of course. But every time they come out in large mass, it tends to coincide with the They call it the running of the political science students. So all this information that we cover, like how the banking system works, how it's used to enslave people, all that stuff, that's taught in universities. And like, man, when the kids figure this shit out, they get upset, man. They get fucking angry.
Yeah.
For all good reasons, of course, right? Like, but when they figure it out, they get mad. Well, like that year on the running of the political science students, like it's like fuck, dude, Anonymous was born, and like it was a symptom of the rage of the youth of the time, for lack of a better explanation.
It was, and the amount of people that wound up getting arrested as a result of the PayPal and Visa issue on account of Cebu, was, as we stated here, a relatively small amount of people. But everybody else, the majority of people who were making the biggest amount of noise, aren't really making that much noise anymore. So it kind of begs the question, goes back to where we started. What are they doing now? And are they just sitting back waiting, or did they get to the point like what you said, Connor, where they just kind of hit that Zionist brick wall and didn't know what to do with it? Or maybe they just got to the point like myself in 2020 where I was like, okay, humanity is just too stupid. I'm taking a step back from this. Why am I trying to save people who are evidently so fucking stupid?
Well, back in the day, when we started this I used to say stupid shit. I used to say things like, in 2020, the world will have full clarity. Dude, do you know? Here it is. Divine revelation. This is why they're not really doing their thing right now. And it's no big deal. It's nothing personal. And it's not even like we're telling them that they shouldn't. But what happens if you realize that you're just not a requirement at that moment?
Yeah.
Right? We talk about like the Million Mask March, right? We did like 2 years of COVID. That was a whole planetary mask march. Right? Okay, so after that last stink with some masks, we're like, fuck, bro, do we really need to do this? So there's that side of things. Here's the other side of things. That was 2 years. Some countries shorter, some countries longer, right? We all got locked up with ourselves, our families, our dogs, our ideas, and our phones. The best part of the dark web, the dark side, the rabbit hole of YouTube. Like, bro, what happens if our content isn't as taboo as it used to be, and it's more or less just common knowledge? Because after COVID, everybody watched everything on the fucking internet.
Yeah. I mean, what else were they going to do but go down the rabbit hole?
And quite a few of them too, bro. Like, the original founders of the John Connor consciousness, from the very beginning, me and another guy, we ended up being neighbors during COVID. And then I was like, dude, what's the fucking universe doing? Why are the three of us living so close to each other right now? What? Because we had I changed provinces. So it's the equivalent of you and two other of your buddies splitting apart, going into different states and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden you are all home at the same time, living on the same fucking street. And about 8 weeks or 8 months or so later, COVID hits. It was weird for us.
That is weird.
We started going through things like the junk DNA, the junk theories, right? Like the flat Earth theories. And now I'll put a small sliver. I'll still say the Earth is round, but I'll entertain like that. There might be parts on this planet that we haven't fully explored. The ocean is one of them. People talk about this Arctic ice wall. Okay, I know the flat Earth theory. I just find it extremely hard to agree. And I've seen the compelling evidence, and I'm like, okay, I can understand why you would believe that because of that. Like, I get it, right? Like so much. Like I saw the science behind the thunderclap and how it they pop a balloon in a dome, and at the top of the dome it sounds like a big fucking thunderclap. I get it. I've seen the video of the rockets going up and it looked like it it hit a glass ceiling, right? It just won't go up no more. Like, bro, even a bullet will do that. Like we shoot things from Earth moving up. After a while, that bitch just stops climbing. We already know that, right? So, in essence, you used a pop bottle rocket, you sent that bitch up, and then when it stopped going up, you used it as evidence as a glass ceiling. I saw the compelling evidence. I just am not inclined to agree with it. But there is one that I'll play ball with because it doesn't thoroughly dictate flat Earth. And I don't know if you guys came across it, the Antarctic ice wall, that if you just go on the other side of the Antarctic ice wall, you're going to see some shit that just, you know what I mean? Like there's a reason why we don't talk about Antarctica. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. There's quite a few different theories. One, they believe that it's the edge of the world, that the ice wall is the edge of the world. You know, it's just kind of like a big bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And the ice wall is the quote unquote barrier, and the sky is the firmament, blah, blah, blah. And then you have another theory that there are entire other continents and land masses and potentially civilizations living outside of this ice wall.
That's right. Now, I'm prepared to play ball with that. If we just say it's an insurmountable ice wall that goes on for fucking ever and then eventually reconnects with another insurmountable ice wall that we can't see, cool. If there is a civilization in it, if we've discovered the civilization, if there is a treaty, that would be why the helicopters don't go there. That'd be why the planes don't go there. Why? Well, because if I make a fucking pact with an alien race, it's, bro, you live here? This is fucking gorgeous. This looks great. Yeah. Can you guys not come and destroy it with fucking bombs and missiles? No. How long you guys been living here? Like 25,000 fucking years. And y'all didn't kill us yet? Well, you haven't been bothering us, so we figure we'll leave you the fuck alone. All right, well, we're going to do the same for you. But eventually, that poor dumbass on a donkey, that he going to find you. What do we tell him? Can y'all just kill him for us? Like we won't even do the killing part. You just shut him up and keep your people under control, and I'll keep my people. You know, we saw this shit on The Walking Dead all the fucking time. You keep your people under control, and I'll keep my people under control. So I get it. The highest levels of military, if there's a truth attached to any of this, the aliens ain't coming in from very far away. They're just over the ice wall. Makes the UFOs a hell of a lot easier to believe, because they're not coming in from stellar fucking nonsensical way the fuck out there shit. Right?
Oh.
Hey, did you guys know that
200 miles or
right?
3,000 miles.
Did you guys know that they apparently, like a few days ago, they found a planet inside our solar system, was it 10 times the size of Earth, and it's found inside of like all the shit that's orbiting Neptune. Very interesting shit. Right, so it's like apparently we
orbit Neptune.
Yeah, inside of the near Neptune objects or whatever the fuck they're called.
I have not heard that. I'm gonna have to look that up. If you find it again, because now I'm curious.
Right, because I've always been like, yo, like the alien aspect of things has always touched me a little bit more. It's we wrote books about this shit like long ass time ago. It's like I said, Bible, man, basic instructions before leaving Earth. It's I don't think people ever really understood it. So I've always played that game. Now, all of this information, like what's Anonymous going to leak? The declassified UFO files? They can't leak that. It's like the United States government went like fucking Rabbit 8 Mile. You know, like at the end of 8 Mile, where Eminem's character does a huge self-diss rap, and when he's done, he looks at the opposing rap team. He's like, "Now go ahead, tell them something they don't know about me."
Yeah, Zero popped up and said, "Nibiru confirmed."
It can be. It can be. We'll find out. And that's what makes this very interesting for me, because the Nibiru theory is separated into three ridiculously huge topics, which if it's just a conspiracy theory in nature, it should not be so large and so complex, because if it's a conspiracy theory, the entire point of it is to simplify it in order to make it digestible for the masses. So
At which point it becomes theories within theories.
right.
Same with
So
flat Earth. Is it
yeah.
the edge of the is the ice wall the edge of the world, or is there another group of continents beyond that? And if so, why is there an ice wall there?
Right.
And if so, who created it and why? Theories
right?
within theories within theories.
Right. It's like we don't even understand the Great Wall of China, and like we're allowed to walk up and touch that bitch. And so
Sure.
when we get into Nibiru, and that's kind of a crazy one too, because that's three things. Everybody's all about like religious trinities and da da da. Nibiru is three things. Nibiru is the name of a star, the name of a planet, and the name of a fucking cluster of shit where the star and the planet happen to be found in the Nibiru system. Right?
Yes.
But like I'm the guy that believes like wholeheartedly that our solar system is the Nibiru system. And our sun is not our sun. I believe that our sun is Nibiru. And that's hard for people to grasp, because the way the Nibiru theory is explained is that Nibiru is a brown dwarf star. See, now I went all off of the off topic. The topic was anonymous and what are they doing these days? I myself don't really know.
We didn't just go down the rabbit hole. We tripped, fell in that motherfucker. We're still on.
Right. So, but this is why this is like the biggest thing that I've been muscling around in my brain, because if I'm right, dude, it's going to be fucking epic. Like no one's going to really know what's happening until finally it just clicks. But the way Nibiru apparently was created is that there was a celestial body. We'll just say a sun. Okay. And suns, when they have too much energy, they have a choice. This is the fun part about a sun. Most people don't grasp that. Is that the sun can choose to go supernova and take out its entire system, or sun can spit out a brown dwarf star. Well, this celestial body, the sun, spit out a brown dwarf star. Now, when the dwarf star was spit out, the very first time that thing went out, I believe that's what me and you call the creation of time. I think what happened was when that sun spit out the dwarf star, that bitch went by our planet so fast that we got knocked over on its axis a little bit. We didn't really know what the fuck happened. We're like, what was that? And it happened. If the calculations are correct, if the conspiracy theorists take all that,
like a person does with a spitting plate, just kind of whoop.
Yep. Now, if all of us cuckoo for Cocoa Puff nut jobs are correct, every 3,600 years, this brown dwarf star comes back, because what happened is that bitch went out, and she went out as far as necessary till it found something bigger than itself to slingshot around, to create an orbit around. Then the elliptical orbit would be created. Every 3,600 years is one orbit. Well, there was that one time that bitch went by, poof, we got it. We just got flipped on our axis. 3,600 years later, poof, she goes by again. We're like, bitch, what are you doing? Now we're spinning, right? So now we have the creation of time. We're on an axis, and now we're spinning. Why? Because this Tasmanian devil fucking thing just keeps spinning around us every 3,600 years, and something ridiculous happens to the earth. Until one day, there's a bunch of stories written about this. The battle in heaven, right? And Lucifer being in control of earth. And all, okay, so you guys kind of get the feel of the direction I'm going with it, okay? So this bitch comes around with 3,600 years later. Here she comes. Gravity. We never factored gravity inside of the beginning of this conversation. That thing is coming too close. It's coming so fucking close. It's like, dude, it looks like it's going to hit us. It's not going to hit us, though. Okay, well, what's it going to do? It's not going to hit us. Okay, yay. What's it going to do? That bitch is just going to grab us by the collar and take us with it. There would be a wrestle in heaven for Earth. Two suns fighting over Earth. How could I scientifically make that make sense? North Pole, South Pole. Earth has got north and a south. Both these suns have a north and a south. This original sun, we were probably, because if you guys pay attention to the rings of Saturn and to our solar system, the astrophysicists, the scientists, all those guys, they say that those things are created there according to a vibrational frequency that's found within the solar system, and that's what happened. But see, Earth, no dice. We're in a Goldilocks zone, and the science will say that it's as though someone put us there. Okay, I can play ball with that. Not put there, landed there. Hop, skip, jump, luck of the draw. Here we are. When that star fucking went on that elliptical thing, we stayed on with it. We became part of what orbits the dwarf star. What can I say that would illustrate that? Well, the science of a dwarf star is this. Science of a dwarf star is that when the dwarf star gets too far from the star that gave birth to it, the dwarf star goes out. It has a radiation signature that we can find with our telescopes. It can keep certain things going on a planet, but the planet could freeze over while a dwarf star is extinguished. And then during the orbit, the dwarf star will find its way close to that original sun again. And if any of us played lighter games like we're not supposed to as children, and you turn one lighter on and you just hold the button on the other lighter, eventually you're going to get close enough that the gas from one lighter is going to start the flame on the second lighter. You get my science experiment idea here.
Yeah.
When this dwarf star gets too close to its original star, it reignites. Why is that information important? I'm told that this Earth has gone through quite a few ice ages, trying to figure out why the fuck we freeze to begin with. So
There's a rabbit hole for you.
right? So the question now is where are we in the ice age? I think I have us pegged. We're not going into an ice age. We're coming out of one. The very, very tail end of it. The part of an ice age where we would still freeze over and thaw out and freeze over and thaw out until there would become a point where our asses would just stop freezing over. When we get too close to the original sun, we will have a heat source from both suns. Two suns in the sky. It's almost like Star Wars was trying to tell us something. And the truth is that we would be the only star system to ever be discovered. The scientists haven't discovered another one yet that is not binary or greater. Binary star systems means that inside that star system, there is two stars or more. When I'm talking stars, I'm not talking twinkly objects in the sky. I'm talking fucking suns. A binary solar system has two suns, and almost every solar system that they found is binary or greater. We're the only ones that are a singular star system. And that doesn't compute up here because the rest of the research, the rest of nature, the rest of la 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 says two. It's a lot like genders. And then all of a sudden people stop talking about it.
Maybe the Mormons were onto something. Our planet,
Kolob.
our sun borrows its light from Kolob, another star.
Yeah. So now why do Why would aliens be looking for Earth? Okay, well, I'll give you that same exact story because now that this is the problem. This story makes entirely too much fucking sense. Okay? So here's little Earth, and we're inside of our actual solar system where we've been created because the vibrational frequency of this spot says this is how we're created. So here we are, fucking A. And we got neighbors, man. And our neighbors, they love the shit out of us, right? So we got all kinds of little planets all around us. And they all look a little different. And they're just loving everything. And then the sun doesn't want to go supernova. The sun's like, yo, I'm just going to piss out a dwarf star instead. So when the sun, oh my God, I'm about to get fucking biblical here. So when the first time that bitch went and gave us like a tilt, that would be like right around the time like Adam and Eve would be gracing the gardens of the world, right? And then when that bitch comes back around 3,600 years and gives us a spin, and it's the creation of time, and that would be like the fall of man. Because now that we have the creation of time, like we're aging and dying. Are you starting to understand why there's a period in history all where we lived longer and we were this and we were that? And because the planet's meant to operate in a very specific way, just not the fuck where we are. That's okay, though. We'll get through it. So now we're behind on this fucking star's tail skirt. And we're just a-going. And this star that I'm talking about, when I say we're just a-going, it's the sun that me and you look at outside. Now you got these other planets, man. These other planets, they're just guys. Did you see that? Yeah, that orbit thing happened again. Yeah, did you see it? It fucking took Earth. It's just going with it. It's just going with the flow, boys.
So basically,
So what do we
that
do?
Nibiru is Satan and stole Earth from God.
For lack of a better word, yes. So there's religious scripture that's written that for a period of time, Lucifer will have dominion of the earth. While we're following this fucking star, Lucifer has dominion of the earth, and we would be in darkness. Now, here's the fucked up shit. All of this weird technology that we find in the pyramids and the this and the that and the whatever, all of this is probably very functional if we are where we are supposed to be. So you got all these other planets looking at us going, somebody want to follow them? They're going to need help. That thing is going 3,600 years that fucking way. Anybody know what happens that fucking way? Let's follow them. And every now and again, someone just kind of drops down. It's like, you guys good? We're far from home right now. Are you okay? All right. Hopefully on the next pass, the gravitational pull of the original sun will keep you back in your solar system. But you guys have another few thousand years before we're inside that solar orbit. I think we're good. Give us some technology, something. How about we extend life a little bit? Medicine. How about we entertain you a little bit? Technology, right? Moving forward, right? When we come back into the original solar system, the Earth is going to heat up. Global warming. Ice ages and global warmings make no sense. They do if you understand that. And that's not mainstream science. This is like the most hocus pocus you could get. Right? I am giving you the gospel according to John. Right? Because what happens now is the exact same thing that happened the first time. When we get back into the original orbit where the original sun is, North and South are going to argue again. Pole shifts. We talk about pole shifts. And we always think that it's because our sun did something or our moon did something. And man, the sun rises every morning. The moon's there every fucking day. You're not doing it. We're tidal locked. The water moves in a funky way. That's kind of cool. But other than that, minus the odd solar flare, right? And things like that.
Turn your vibrator off, Revan.
No, that was mine. Right, minus the odd solar flare along the way and things like that. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I have to cut it short. That went off because I got 13% on my phone.
Ah,
We can finish this Nibiru thing in the future. All right, boss.
sounds good.
All right. Take care now.
Take care. All right. So, Revan, let's backtrack to Anonymous. We kind of got on a
Yeah.
tangent
Yeah,
here
I
with
wanted to do
Nibiru
that.
and all that. Segue, maybe what happened here in this conversation is what happened to Anonymous. You know, maybe it was, as Connor said, a bunch of
They're still
people woke up.
active.
Yeah, a bunch of people, in college woke up and said, "Hey, we're getting
They've been
screwed."
active for a good 17 years.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying. Maybe
In
they
my
got
knowledge, I mean, I've been running into a few of them here and there.
yeah. But what I'm saying is
And
maybe they woke
one
up
of
and go,
their
"Okay, we're getting fucked," and then
one of their works
they
is
went down the
taking
rabbit hole.
down pedophile websites.
Yeah,
And
there are a lot of
taking down websites of traffickers and scammers.
yeah.
And
You and
they've
I,
been doing it for forever, since
yeah,
day
you and
one.
I have been talking to a lot of those kind of people. Especially taking down pedophiles and whatnot. We've been talking about that for
because
years.
there was a few that I came across over the years that they took down scammers. They took down child pornography websites. They took down, and they've been busy at that for the past few years.
Yeah,
And they're seeing there's a few on TikTok, YouTube, X, you name it, even on Rumble as well as Minds and other alternative platforms, because they cannot just stay in one area, because they need to branch out to for that cause on other places. And again with AV Unit, I've been talking to him off and on, and he's also known as Anon Ghost. And
I'm familiar with Anon Ghost. Yes.
and he's the most wanted hacker, man, and very, very careful. But I will ask why or how. But the thing is, I mean, if he's the most wanted hacker, but
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
yeah, don't ask questions. I mean, yeah, I agree, yeah, but there's some out there, but there's a very minimal few that have gone their own way.
Yeah.
To raise families as well. There's some my age,
Yeah. I think a lot of it, what happened is, when all this kicked off, we were still fairly young. We were, in our 20s, in our early to mid 20s. And then, life just kept moving forward. And, we did I think for a lot of people, they got to the point where, like me, it's like, okay, we did our part. We did everything we could. I just don't see any more point in my role right now. Or maybe people like myself got disillusioned with humanity and just threw in the towel, and maybe are just waiting for that opportunity, for that spark to be reignited, like it reignited with me this year. Or maybe like with Connor, they, like what Connor was saying, a lot of these people woke up to the fact that they were getting screwed, and then during their movement with Anonymous, started going down a lot of the rabbit holes and just kind of got sucked into this world of endless information and deviated on their own little causes.
Yeah.
And it may be a culmination of all these variables. I mean, life is ever moving forward. It never stops moving, never stops progressing. I mean, when I started this, I was in my early to mid 20s. I'm going to be 41 in August. I've been at this off and on for a long time. And even at 40, even in my 40s, I can't seem to shut up. But,
Exactly.
I feel motivated. I feel that I have something to say, a duty to be fulfilled here, a purpose.
I do
And,
want to go back to the PlayStation hack. One of them.
okay.
Geohotch. Young man out of Midwest. He was on live TV during the interview, and he showed how he jailbroken an iPhone.
Yeah.
Very, very talented kid. Very, very talented kid, And he even jailbroken a PS3. And Sony went to sue him for over $1 million because he jailbroken a console.
Yeah.
And Anonymous caught wind of that. And I sat back and watched and read. I'm like, wow. Like, dude, I mean, if you own a device like a smartphone or a console and you want to jailbreak it, dude, do it.
Yeah, it's your own personal property at that point.
And
it doesn't have any impact on the company.
No.
As long as it doesn't have an impact on the company, so what?
So Anonymous went after Sony. What the huge hack that costed the company nearly $44 million or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And but you also wanted to bring in the HB Gary hack too. Here's a guy who was in the military, did all his shit in the Navy and whatnot, got into linguistics, all that computer shit. He thought, I'm gonna take that Anonymous. Oh man. Oh. Bad thing to say. You don't want to say it because here's the thing. Anonymous is kind of like a giant dragon with 1,000 heads. Okay? You cut one head off, 2 is going to grow. You cut off 2 heads, 4 are going to grow. You cut off 6. Yeah. And you will have a hard time whether you're a corporation, whether you're a government, whether it's local, state, whatever it is, or if you're an institution thinking, I'm going to take down Anonymous. No. Because here's the thing. The collective is so global, it's like you take the whole collective as one and you put them on an area where it'd be their own country. I mean, more powerful than any government to a certain degree, but the numbers of collectives is scary enough.
Yeah.
But also what they can do is scary enough.
Exactly. And that's and you finally touched on the point that I was trying to get to this entire roundtable. They have had the ability to do a great many things, and a lot of people have asked, why attack Visa and PayPal and PlayStation, but not people like George Soros or the Rockefeller Foundation or BlackRock and Vanguard disappearing all their money. I mean, most anons at this point, I think, are aware of how the New World Order system works. But a lot of people have wondered, especially with things like Black Lives Matter and all the riots and everything that happened in recent years, especially before COVID, why Anonymous, if they were so powerful, didn't take action in these regards. And I'm not saying anything against Anonymous in here. I'm just pointing out what has been asked. People have asked these questions. And it's not to say that these aren't valid questions. And it's not to say that there isn't a valid answer.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to explore the unanswered questions, to address the unaddressed issues. You know, we point the finger at Alex Jones all the time. You know, he's the tip of the spear. We're the hand on the spear, guiding its path. Okay? The same goes in every aspect. You know, so with Anonymous having...
You also want to look at Cicada 3301.
Yeah?
Yeah. For the last, since 2012, the last time I hear about him was 2017, 18 and shit. There's a few people that I came across thought it was anonymous, an offshoot of Anonymous. I said, I don't think so, because Cicada 3301, they are very secretive, very, very secretive. And what it is, it's a think tank that's throwing out all these things, you know, literature, art, cryptography, history, music, you name it, the whole thing. And there's been about 5 or 6 that were chosen, and you see all these different QR tags with the Cicada above the QR code.
Yeah.
And if you scan it with your phone, it'll send you a link. Hit the link, boom. No, but a lot of people are kind of wondering, what kind of think tank is Cicada 3301? Now, Cicada is anti-government, dude. Anti-government, anti-corporation, anti-institutional bullshit, you know. And
they're essentially an anarchist think tank. And for those who don't know, anarchy does not mean chaos. It means an absence of governmental authority.
Yeah. And so, from 2012 on, I've been doing research on these guys, or the think tank, you know.
Okay.
And the further down I got down the rabbit hole, oh man, it's bizarre, man. It's like, since from 2012 to 2018, from 2012 to 2018 to 2019, there hasn't been much in the last 6 years because of you know, and there hasn't been not one documentary, not one story, anything.
Yeah. And
They're
you rarely ever see anon videos or anything anymore. Like you see some anon videos, you know, like some AI generated character in a talking Guy Fawkes match, you know, talking about, you know, things that happen in history or exposing some level of government corruption. But it hasn't been the, we are anonymous, we are legion. Hey, bad person, we know you did this bad thing. Knock it off or pop a spank. It seems like,
exactly.
at least from my perspective, and from what you're saying, is Anonymous went from being the loud, brooding force to a more quiet or mysterious.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the Dark Knight Rises? Or not Dark Knight Rises, the Dark Knight Returns movies?
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, it was a cartoon, and basically Batman comes out of retirement, starts making a bunch of noise, and the Green Arrow, he's sitting down with Green Arrow one day and he's going, and Green Arrow's like, "You're too damn noisy. That's your problem, Bruce. Yeah, you play it mysterious, but it's a loud mysterious." And then towards the end of the series, he fakes his death in a battle against Superman. And then it fast forwards to him in this new underground cave with a bunch of freaking former gang members who want to be the sons of Batman. And Green Arrow looks to Bruce and goes, "So are you going to be okay with this?" And Bruce goes, "What, this quieter mysterious? Yeah, I think this will be a good line." And I think that's what Anonymous is doing. They got out of the loud mysterious and are taking a more subtle approach. They're going with the more quieter mysterious.
Exactly. More subtle, more quiet, but somewhat covertly quiet, but in their own way.
Yeah. And
that I find very genius, very technical.
yeah, especially, with the amount of attention that they garnered for themselves in the early days when Sabu narked all these people out and these people went to jail. You quickly come to the realization that there's not a whole lot you can do in solitary confinement.
No.
You can't do much behind bars, and you can't do much in Guantanamo Bay or even in solitary confinement. So I think in the overall, it was a smart move for Anonymous to take the step back and go for a more subtle approach, the quieter, mysterious. I think that was a very smart move. And for those who raise the question of, what happened to Anonymous and why did Anonymous do that, this or that, groups like Anonymous, if they're going to be effective, have to be very careful in how they do things and how they approach a situation so that they don't commit suicide. So they don't suicide by cop kind of thing.
Anonymous is, I would say, part of pop culture now. And let me explain why.
Yeah.
I'm a big gamer. Okay, I'm a gamer. I won't deny that. I'm a gamer.
Yes.
One of my favorite franchises is Watch Dogs. The Watch Dog. Okay. Now, the creator of the game, the first game, he talks about how Anonymous was an influence.
Yeah. How about Hotel? Right.
And dedicated the game franchise to Anonymous. Because DedSec, Anonymous.
Yeah.
One and the same. To a certain point of view.
Yeah.
And Anonymous will always be a part of pop culture in their own way. But as a gamer, I see, as a gamer, but also a fan of science fiction, it's kind of like they're like the cyber version of the Assassins in Assassin's Creed, but also a Grey Jedi.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Guy Fawkes was the inspiration for V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta was, in a large part, an inspiration for Anonymous, at least in terms of some of its ideology and especially its image. So, I mean, it's always going to be part of a pop culture thing. And it was only inevitable that it would become a pop culture icon. Now, I wanted to address this for a long time because we do hear about it a lot, because a lot of people ask, whatever happened to Anonymous? We never hear from Anonymous anymore. We don't see anything relevant from Anonymous anymore. Why didn't Anonymous do this? Why didn't Anonymous do that? So let me make this clear in closing, that this was not an attack on Anonymous. or even questioning Anonymous. This was an attempt to answer the questions from the masses, to say, where is Anonymous? What happened to Anonymous? Why did Anonymous do this? Blah, 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 blah. We wanted to ask and at least try to answer somewhat, at least to some degree, provide an explanation as to where Anonymous is and what they are doing. So to anybody who has been watching this, who is a part of the collective, understand this was not an attack. This was an attempt at answering the question of the concerned and even potential detractors. Again, that is essentially our function, is to ask and potentially answer the questions that aren't being asked or aren't getting answered. That's a big part of what TWWRN does. And, ever since day one, I kind of feel like I was the anon that just never put on the mask. A few anons have quoted me as being that. And, a lot of anons, especially those who went through the YRV thing, I know have a lot of love and respect for me because of the documentary I did on YRV, the Noble Activist or Self-Serving Dictator. I think I garnered a lot of respect there. Because I put this clown in his place.
His ideas, I agree with them. It's like it's too radical and too dangerous. In my age, I'm 49 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of them are now my age. And
we ain't kids anymore. We can't act stupid.
No.
We don't have that luxury.
No.
We got to be smart. We can't be reckless.
You have to be. It's like how I would say it. It's like playing chess. You have to really plan your move.
Yep, you got to think 2 or 3 moves ahead.
Yeah, exactly. You
got to anticipate your enemies.
Sun Tzu made a point in his book, Art of War.
Yeah.
And
read that a couple years back, actually.
He's correct on all of it.
Yeah.
And I would say to any future anons, be careful.
Yeah.
Be wise,
Yeah, don't be reckless.
Not everybody's going to like it. Because, instead of being reckless, be like a shadow. Be like a ghost. Okay, ghost,
Yeah.
But be.
I gotta let you go, dude. We gotta end this now. We are just now under a tornado warning.
All right, man.
So I gotta let this go. I gotta close this out. Wish me luck, everybody. I'm gonna go out back with a sombrero and an orange crush and brave the storm. Until next time, this is the Tin Man with the Resistance. If you're watching this, you are the Resistance. And if we're lucky, I'll still be here. If not, I'm gonna be broadcasting from Oz. Peace.
Nice.